Alright, what is up dudes? It's Captain Larptuber here, and today I'm going to be doing, well, a different kind of content than what I usually do. I'm going to be ranking each state, all 50 plus the Washington DC district. I'm going to be ranking them from S tier to F tier. And, you know, this isn't anything personal. I'm kind of ranking them based off of, well, history, economy, really just stuff like that. I'm going to try not to be real biased. And also, I do know that my mic sounds horrible. I really have no idea what that happens, or why that happened. I have no clue. I guess that's what happens whenever you buy a cheap mic off of Amazon, huh? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy. Let's go ahead and get in, starting with Texas. Texas, it's probably within the top 3 most known states, along with California and New York. It has a very large population. It's the second most populated, I believe around 30 million. It's also one of the largest economies, I believe. It's either the second or the third. I think it's the second largest behind California. It's the largest and most populated southern state, with population and size largest. And it's also been its own country before, so it has rich history. It is very diverse. It's a diverse state, geographically, population-wise, all of it. I'm gonna go rank it at S tier. I think it's a good state. You know, it's also the second largest state in the United States. Next is California. Well, I mean, I've always wanted to go to California. I'm gonna leave it right here for now while I talk about it. I've always wanted to go to California. I heard it's a very beautiful state. I will say, it has a lot of natural beauty. It's a very diverse state with demographics and nature. It has the largest economy. It's the third largest state. It has the largest population. It's either the same or larger population than Canada. And it's probably one of the most important states in the United States, I won't lie. Just speaking from logic. Also, it has a higher GDP than the entire nation of Russia, I believe, as well. I'm gonna rank it at S tier. You just got to. You know, the two big states of the US. Next we have Alabama. Alabama. Well, I know it has like a medium-sized population, I believe. It's around 3 to 5 million, I think. I think it's around like 3 or 4 million. It doesn't have a big economy, really. It's kind of... Alabama's really just a state that's in the middle. I know they got the Alabama memes and everything. I will say, it has a very, not really unique flag, but I like it because it's just so simple. It's just a red X cross. I do like the flag because of how simple it is. It's just a simple, nice, clean design. Oh yeah, let's talk about flags as well. Texas flag, very iconic. California flag, it's unique and I really like it. And as for Alabama, I don't know where I'm gonna put Alabama. I will say I wouldn't put it B or higher. I could put it in C or I could put it in D, but I don't think it would be an E or lower. I'm gonna put it in C. Next is Colorado. I do have a friend from Colorado, and I will say I really love their flag. I feel like their flag is one of the best flags in the United States. Along with the other four corner states. Where are they? You got Utah. Oh, this has Utah's old flag. This sucks. New Mexico, Arizona. They have very cool flags. I'm gonna pull up Utah's newer flag real quick. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Captain Larptuber can't spell, guys. So you can see here, this is Utah's current flag. This is their new flag as of, let's see, when did Utah adopt its current flag? Yeah, so 2024, so 2 years ago, and March 9th. Wow. So yeah, as you see, it's very recent. Anyways, back to Colorado. It's kind of in the middle between population and economy. It is one of the bigger states of the United States, and um, I know it's a really okay. It's a very beautiful. Okay, because of its beauty, I'm gonna put it in A. I'm not gonna lie. Connecticut, small population, but then again, it's a small state. It's one of the 13 colonies. It's the first of the 13 colonies on here. No, wait. It's the first out of the 13 colonies that I'm putting on the list. It's not one of the first. It's not the first 13 colonies, you know. Anyways, I know the capital, Hartford. I know all of the state capitals. Well, almost all of them. But anyways, Hartford. I don't really know much about Hartford. Really, all it has going for it is the fact that it's so close to New York City right here that it kind of carries out that like boost of New York City around in this part. Other than that, it's a very not the best state. I don't think it's a bad state, but I'm gonna have to put it in D tier. It's it's not somewhere where you would avoid being, but it's not somewhere where you would go out of your way to go to. Then we have Delaware. I believe it's the second smallest state, not only by size but also in population. Its flag, I can't really see the flag. Let's pull the flag up real quick and get a closer look at it. Oh my gosh, I cannot spell. Which one? Yeah, this one is the true one. I do like. Okay, I will say I like the colors, but the state seal just isn't really doing much for it. I like how this blue right in here and uh, yeah, I like how this blue right here is the same blue as that. That's kind of cool. I like the orange in the flag. Not many. You don't see many flags with orange in it, like Spain, for example. Spain has orange in it, but you don't really see much more than that, from what I know. Or okay, actually, you don't really see many flags with orange in it in the United States. There, but so let's put. I'm gonna put Delaware. Oh wait, one more thing actually. Delaware was the first state to ratify the Constitution. Therefore, it was legally the first American state. So, all because of that, I'm not going to put it in E tier. Although, okay, I will say also, it doesn't really have much natural beauty from what I've seen. I've been through Delaware, only the northern part. But it's not a bad state either. It's not a bad state. So, I will put it only because it was the first state to ratify the Constitution. I'll put it in C tier, not D tier. Next, we have Florida. I've lived in this state before when I was younger. It's a very nice state. I would say it's very diverse, demographics, and kind of natural beauty. Yeah, you got tropical regions in the south with the Everglades, and you have major urban centers like the Miami Strip, Tampa Bay, Orlando, Jacksonville. You got the capital, Tallahassee, up here. You got minor urban areas along the coast over here. It's a beautiful state, not as much as Colorado or California or Texas, I would say, all because it's so like the elevation of Florida is so low that really you only have one type of natural beauty, and that's really just palm trees and beaches and kind of the tropical setting you would expect. You do have natural beauty like in North Florida. It's less tropical and more of what you would see in southern Alabama or Georgia, which is pretty, I will say. But I'm gonna put it. Oh, wait, let's finish this. It's the third highest GDP. It's the third highest, or yeah, it's the third highest population, and I do believe it is on the side of being. It's in the top 25 largest U.S. states, so it's closer to being the largest than it is being the smallest. So it's one of the larger states, I believe. Also, one interesting thing is it's the oldest state. Well, there's three different versions of it being the oldest state. You got Delaware, the first state to ratify the Constitution. That makes it the first state to be a part of the United States. Then you have Florida. It's the oldest colony, not by the English, but it's the oldest colony. It was made by Spain in 1565, so it's the oldest colony in the modern day United States region, basically. So 1565, how long ago was that? Like over 400 years ago. It's like around what, 450 or so years ago? No, a little bit longer than that. Like 470 around there. So it's the oldest U.S. state to continually exist. So I will put it in S tier. Very good state, along with you basically got the main three right here of the modern day United States. Next up is Georgia. You know, I'm kind of biased. This is my birth state, and I will say I like the current flag. I feel like it's a decent flag. It's obviously not as good as some state flags, but it's also not bad. It's definitely better than what the previous flag was. I don't know if you've seen that, but I think they changed it somewhere around 2001 to 2003. If you want to, you can look that up. I'm not going to show it. And okay, I think it's like the 24th largest state, so it's on the side of being larger. I'm pretty sure if it's not the largest, it's one of the largest states east of the Mississippi River. And in fact, it used to reach all the way to the Mississippi River. I don't know if you know that, but Georgia prior to the Yazoo land fraud. Yeah, see? It used to extend all the way back to the Mississippi River. And when it did, Georgia was the largest American state, which I believe the Yazoo land fraud happened in 1790, around there. So then when that happened and Georgia had to give away its land to the federal government, that's when the Mississippi Territory was born. And then Mississippi and Alabama came out of that. So Mississippi and Alabama are states that were born from Georgia. So if you live in Alabama and Mississippi, you can thank Georgia. Other states, same. But anyways, Georgia has the 8th largest population. I think it's like 11.4 million people live in Georgia. So it's one of the larger states. It's top 10 largest states for population. Top 25 largest states for size. It is also one of the largest economies, I believe. It's almost to $1 trillion. It's like at around 950 billion, somewhere around there. And there are only a handful of other states that have reached $1 trillion in GDP every year. Another thing it has is diverse. It has diverse landscapes, diverse populations. Down in south, you have tons of you have the coast. We do not have the best beaches, I will say. But down in the south, you have swamps, more swampy areas. Up here, you have more like kind of flat lands almost. Same down here. It's still flat. It's just up here, it's not swampy really. And then up north, you have hilly areas and mountains. It has the foothills of the Appalachians. Okay. Anyways, you have one of the largest metro areas in the United States, the Atlanta metro area, with over 6 million people. Not the city itself. The city itself isn't. It only has like 550,000 around there. But the metro area is over 6 million people. Also, Atlanta is the world's busiest airport, so Georgia has that going for it. And Savannah, the largest coastal city, is the 12th largest port in the United States, so it also has that going for it. So to not be biased, I'm going to put Georgia in A tier alongside Colorado. Two very awesome states. You got Hawaii next. I like Hawaii. It's one of the newest states to be admitted to the Union. It was following Texas, also with Texas, it was a previous nation. But one thing about Texas is that it was founded by Americans who split from Mexico. Because if you didn't know this little history lesson, Mexico, the population of northern Mexico prior to its loss, here, hold on. Let's see here, Mexico in 1835, or okay, I guess 25. Well, anyways, you have the Mexican Empire. So this is Mexico now, and this was Mexico back then. And so you have Texas right here. I don't know how to say the first word. Coahuila y Tejas, something like that. So Texas was originally this small region right here. And Mexico, it was a new country. I think it was founded in like between 1812 and 1815, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. But anyways, Mexico offered cheap land to any Americans who would move into northern Mexico and promised to follow their laws. And one thing is that Mexico prohibited slave labor. They permitted all of it. So the Southerners who moved to Texas, because they were right next to each other, they didn't like that. So they kind of just refused to follow some of Mexico's laws. And anyways, you let you let some years go by, and a bunch of Americans who moved to this region of Mexico try to gain independence. So that leaves you with the I don't know what it's called. It'll come up if you search this up. Texan, yeah, it's just the Texas Revolution. That's a lot of history within itself. All that. But anyways, I forgot what I was talking about. I don't know why I was talking about that. Oh, yeah, because of Hawaii. Well, so Texas was founded by Americans. The country was. While Hawaii was its own individual country, founded by Pacific Islanders, natives to the Pacific Islands. And it was the Kingdom of Hawaii. It's also the only state to have the British Union Jack, or the Union Jack and its flag, which is kind of weird, I will say. But it's also the only state to be only made up of islands. And it has a lot of natural beauty, tropical natural beauty. It's the only state, I think it's the only state where the predominant race is Asian, which I think is pretty cool. I'm gonna put it in. Oh well, let's say this first. It's on the smaller side. It's not the smallest, but it's. I don't even think it's near the like halfway point, like around 20, 25, 24, 26. It's one of the smaller ones. It also has not that big of a GDP or not that big of a population. So I probably will put it in C or B. I'm going to put it in B only because it was conquered in World War II. This is their reparations. I'm sorry that you got conquered. And then for their natural beauty is just I love tropical beauty. Anyways, we got Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. This is where the White House is. This is where presidents live. And did you know that the White House got burned down in the War of 1812? And the War of 1812 didn't end until 1815, so there's no reason to call it the War of 1812. But it's I think it's got like around 700,000 to 800,000 people living in it. It's very small since it's just the size of the city of Washington, D.C. I'm going to put it in... Well, actually, it has a cool flag. If you didn't know this, the flag of Washington, D.C. is the family coat of arms of George Washington. I believe. Let me look that up. Okay, so the design is based on the Washington family coat of arms. It's pretty cool history. Made in 1924. And where should I put it? I don't know. It is the capital, I will say. I've been there once. I stayed the night. I've been through Delaware, Washington D.C. I used to live here. Been here. I'm gonna put it in. Okay, I would put it in C tier, but I'm only gonna put it in B tier because it's our capital. Next, we got Wisconsin. We got Cheese Land. For Wisconsin, I don't really know where I would put Wisconsin. They're around the middle in states, and like state sizes. Same for population. I think they have between 5 and 7 million around there. I'm not entirely sure. They have Green Bay. They got Milwaukee. They got Madison. Um, it's a pretty nice state, I believe. I've never been here, and I don't know a lot about the state, but I do know they were part of the Northwest. My gosh, the Northwestern Territories. So they're relatively old. Let's see. There we go. Finally spelt it. No, not that one. Not this one. This one. So yeah, this was the Northwestern Territories. We got this after the end of the Revolutionary War. It was signed in 1783, and the British officially handed it over to us. Oh, okay, I did not mean to click on that. But so originally Wisconsin was a part of the Northwestern Territories. I believe Ohio first became a state, then Michigan, then Indiana, then Illinois, then Wisconsin. I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a pretty overall decent state. Um, I will say, uh, because I put DC up here. Okay, I'm moving DC down, and I'm gonna put Wisconsin in B tier because they love their alcohol and they love their cheese, and I like cheese. Anyways, you got Arkansas next. Now Arkansas, I don't know a whole lot about Arkansas. I know they're not they're not on the really small side, but they're not halfway there either. They're like kind of halfway between um like 25, the top 25, and halfway between, or no, the lower 25 and halfway between like the lower 10. So they're not like, they're about like, they're kind of meh for size. They have a small population. They don't have a really great economy either, I will say. But what kind of saves them from just being the absolute worst is their natural beauty. They have I'm pretty sure they have part of the Ozarks, I think. The Ozark mountain range, which is one of the few mountain ranges of the United States. It's also one of the only mountain ranges that only exist within the United States, nowhere else. Like, I'm pretty sure the Appalachian Mountains extend from Georgia to Canada. You got the Rocky Mountains that extend from like the southwest of the United States up to the northwest of Canada. You got, actually, I think there's also the Sierra Nevada that exists within the United States, I believe. But anyways, they're also, I mean, I like their flag. I like the diamond shape of it. That's pretty cool. One problem I do have with it, though, is that they just have their own state name. I guess Wisconsin also has that problem. You know what, Wisconsin? I'm sorry, buddy. You're going in C tier. You just got your name in big white basic font letters. At least Arkansas put it in a diamond. So I'm gonna have to put Wisconsin. I'm gonna have to put Arkansas in either C or D. I'm gonna put it in D. Only because you just don't have much going for you other than okay natural beauty and a diamond on your flag being the main part of it. Next we have Idaho. We got, well, the potato state. I like the shape of it. It's very weird and unique. I believe it is the only state to make cannibalism illegal. They got that going. They got some natural beauty. They definitely have natural beauty, I will say. Another thing they have going for is that, well, their state borders another country. So does Texas. So does California. Um, so far, these are the only three states that I'm on here. Florida has a maritime border with the Bahamas. I don't know if that counts or not. Not really. But uh, Idaho also, okay. So it's one of the larger states, so I will give it that. It has good natural beauty. Very sparse population. It's one of the smaller states for population, I believe, in the lower 25. But that whole region is just very sparsely populated. I'm either gonna put it. I feel like it would go between D and B, but I feel like since I can't decide, I'm just gonna have to keep it in C tier. It is one of the bland states with the blue flags that just has their state seal on it and really nothing else. Next is Iowa. It is around the middle in size. It is in like the lower 25%, like, yeah, it's in the lower 25% of how would I say that, like 25th percentile of population. It's not a very densely populated state. It's in the Midwest, so it's a little bit more sparse. They don't have great weather. Neither does Idaho, I believe, or Wisconsin, for that matter. But I don't know. I've never been there, I will say. One thing I do like about Iowa is that its flag takes inspiration from French style flag. You know, it has the same background, but the state seal just being randomly in it, it's kind of awkward. But I like the shape of their state. You wouldn't be able to complete the elf guy without it. You just got a big fat nose right there. So you also have, like, I think, a decent natural beauty. Like, it's not great, but it's not bad either. At least you have natural beauty. I mean, I guess every state has natural beauty. It's just some Rhode Island, um, Connecticut, and, well, I guess I'll just put Iowa. Um, Only because of their flag, only because it's styled by the French flag. I will put it in. No, I just can't. I'm sorry. Uh, Only because of the size, I'll keep it in C tier. I'm not gonna put it in D tier. Next, we have North Dakota. I believe that's North Dakota. Is that? No, that's Kansas. Okay, I was. Oh my gosh. Okay, similar shape. Look at that. Anyways, you got Kansas next. Kansas. I don't. It's known as the Pancake State when really it's not the flattest state. Florida is the flattest state, so that's a lie within itself. Very boring geography. Not much going on for it. I will say it's. I think it's a little bit above the halfway mark for size, so it has that going for it. It has a low population. Um, I believe Kansas City isn't actually in Kansas. Kansas City's in Missouri for some reason, so I don't know if that's on Missouri or if it's on Kansas. Uh, but anyway, that's weird. It has a bland flag. I don't like that. So overall, I just think I'm gonna put this state in D tier. Nothing in E or F tier yet. Next we got Kentucky. Kentucky is, Kentucky came from Virginia. I believe it separated from Virginia in 1790, and it's. I don't like the flag really that much. I will say at least it's a different shade that is actually, like, differential, if that's a word. You can tell it's separate from the other state flags because of its dark shade. Um, I do think the shape of it is cool, and also it's Kentucky. Kentucky Fried Chicken. You got to give it that. I'm just gonna leave it in D tier, C tier, really, because other than just those jokes, It doesn't really have much going for it. It's mediocre in size. I don't think it has that big of a population. Its GDP isn't that great either. Just overall, mediocre state. And then what's keeping it from being a bad state is really Kentucky Fried Chicken. Next, we got Maryland, another small state, one of the 13 colonies. Oh yeah, Delaware was the 13th colony also. So far we got Georgia 13 colony, Delaware 13 colony, Maryland 13 colony, and Connecticut 13 colony, and Florida was a Spanish colony. I guess so was Texas and California as well. And then, so Maryland, it's an old state. It, I like its flag. I will say its flag is nice, and I will also say the flag is very overcomplicated, but it's not the bad overcomplicated. It's more of the it made you look twice complicated, and I don't think in a bad way, because the color scheme isn't bad. It's weird. It's definitely weird, but it's not bad either. So for Maryland, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put you in B tier because you definitely punch over your weight. You're a very small state, but you have a decent population and a decent GDP. So you punch higher than your weight, definitely. Next we got Massachusetts, the second oldest of the 13 colonies, with the founding of the Plymouth colony and the Massachusetts Bay colony. You got Boston. It's another one of those small states who punch over their weight. They got a pretty decent population. They're in like the top 25% for population, along with Maryland. It has pretty decent history, you know. I like Massachusetts personally. You also got the Salem witch trials that happened here, I believe. Um, I'm ginger. They would have killed me. I don't know how I feel about that. But you also have Halloween being a big thing here. You got to give respect to that. I'm gonna go ahead and put them in B tier along with Maryland and Hawaii. They're not one of the okay. They're a pretty good state. They're not top tier states, but they're not mid tier states, and they're definitely not lower. So yeah, they're a pretty good state, but not the best. Not mid tier though. So next up is Mississippi. Ooh. Really. Okay, so they have decent natural beauty. They got a coast, really a small one. They got the Mississippi River. Really, I like their flag. I will say I love their flag. It's a very cool flag. But horrible GDP, horrible population, a very low population, and overall, it's just a very kind of impoverished state. Like you can look up. Let's see here. I haven't checked this or I haven't heard anything from it in a while, so it could be different. Who knows? Mississippi GDP. GPD, I guess. I'm stupid. So let's look. Yeah, it's one of the lighter states, along with Oklahoma, Idaho, Arkansas, Kentucky, West Virginia, Alabama, and South Carolina. By GDP. Okay, so Mississippi isn't the worst, I guess. You can see it right here. Here's GDP per capita. So you got just the usual. I didn't know Idaho was up here. I did not know that. But you got Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, West Virginia. So overall, I am sadly, I love their flag. But that's really all Mississippi has going for it in my point of view. I've never been to Mississippi. I've heard that they have a good coast. They have a decent coast. And I think it's really cool that they touch the Mississippi River. I don't know why. This is just my favorite state that touches the Mississippi River. I mean, just look at that border. Look, that's cool. But I'm just going to have to put them in... I don't want to put them in F tier. I really don't. but I just have to. They ruin the South. I mean, like, let's look at obesity rate, just for example. Look at that. I mean, like, the South has pretty good food, in my opinion. I mean, I like Southern food, but it's not that good. Come on, Mississippi. I'm sorry. I bet it would be cool to go there one day, but I don't know. Next up is Missouri. They are around the middle for size. Oh yeah, same for Mississippi. They're around the middle for size. So I guess they got that going for them, but they have a very low population. I think it's around 2 million, and so that means they punch under their weight. But Missouri is overall just a very mid state. But unlike the other mid states, they don't really have natural beauty. They're kind of like Kansas. They do have, I will say, they punch their own weight. They don't punch above it, but they don't punch below it either, because they have a decent GDP, decent size, and decent population. But overall, I would say it's kind of a boring state. I'm not gonna lie. But what they do have going for them is they border the Mississippi River, I guess. So they're not completely landlocked, because they can just take a boat and go down there, I guess. If they were independent, they'd be screwed, but they're not. So they got, I think, St. Louis over here and Kansas City over here, so they got that going for them. So if it wasn't for them punching their own weight, I would put them with Kansas, but because they punch their own weight, I'm gonna leave them in C tier. I guess they earned it. Next up is Montana. The fourth largest state. You got Alaska, Texas, California, then Montana. So I think that's very cool. It's a random state that just happens to be the fourth largest state. Very low population. I believe it's around like 1 million. So that's very weird. It has very great natural beauty. Its largest city, which is Billings, I believe, has 200,000. So think about that. One city has like 1/5 of the population, I believe. I might be doing my math wrong. I'm bad at math. But because I will say their flag is disappointing. But I will put their state in A tier, because while they're not the best with the GDP or population, their size and they have lots of natural resources. Their natural beauty, I would say it makes up for it. Next is Nebraska. Nebraska is a boring state. It's really just all around. I'm not gonna lie. I will say I like the shape of Nebraska more than Kansas. It's not a perfect square like Wyoming or Colorado, but it's better than Kansas, I will say, or North Dakota or South Dakota, wherever they are. But anyways, I like really, in my eyes, the only thing they have going for them is that it's not a bottom tier state. It's okay. Actually, they do have good size. I think they're in the top 25 for size. But I'm just gonna have to put them in D tier. Size can't save them in this like it saved Montana. Montana is the fourth. I don't even know what Nebraska is, but Nebraska, you're just going to go in D tier. I'm sorry, man. Next up is Nevada. I believe Nevada is in the top 10 largest states. If not, it's like the top 8th, top 7th, maybe top 5th. I'm not entirely sure. But I'm not sure if it's the 5th. I know it's in the top 10 though. I think I could even maybe confidently say top 9th or 8th. Other than that, really all they have for them is Las Vegas, Reno, and Carson City. Population-wise, very low population. Very, very, okay, I will say they have very good natural beauty. except in Las Vegas they got that bubble thing, and it like very much harmful to light pollution. Overall, they also do have Las Vegas, so I'm gonna have to put them. I would say either in D or C tier, or B tier maybe. But I'm gonna have to put them in C tier because I can't decide between B and D. Next we have New Jersey. Just gonna go ahead and say it right here. Do not step foot in New Jersey. I've been through New Jersey before. It was like the second we crossed the sign, just instant mood killer. Instant mood killer. I went from excited to go on a trip to, oh man, I'm in New Jersey. I will say the only thing they got going for them is 13 colony, coast. I think they got Atlantic City here, which is decent city. They got Newark, off-brand New York City. Joe Bartolozzi lives here. He's pretty cool. I like him. Joe Bartolozzi is really the saving grace. If it wasn't for Joe Bartolozzi, I would put New Jersey in F tier. So you can thank Joe Bartolozzi if you live in New Jersey for not being F tier. Next up is New Mexico. Oh, okay. Actually, let me say for New Jersey, I like the flag. I like the flag because of the color, and if I'm not mistaken, let me pull it up real quick. Ah, dang. I was mistaken. Anyways, next is New Mexico. I do have to say, they are a failing state. Not because I hate them. I like New Mexico. It's cool. It's one of the largest states. They have an awesome flag. Very awesome flag. I feel like the color scheme of the flag matches just the New Mexico name. I like the design of it a lot. But I think they have a declining population, and their largest city, Albuquerque, is, I've heard it's a boring and declining city. Overall, they just don't have much going for them. They do have very, very good natural beauty, and they also border another state, or border another country. That's kind of cool. But I'm just gonna have to. Oh, I don't know. Okay, I would put them in E tier, like actually E tier, not because it like, um, you know, but because of their flag and because of their natural beauty, they're gonna go in D tier. They punch very under their weight, but they're just I love the flag and the geography and the natural beauty so much. That itself puts them in another one. Wait, well they are a really big state too. Okay, fine. I'll put them. No, I can't. I can't. Next is New York. This completes the squad of the major American states. They're one of the 13 colonies. They weren't actually founded by the English, if you didn't know that. They were founded by the Dutch. So originally, New York was a Dutch colony made by the Netherlands. And historically, it's usually been the highest populated state. It's always had the highest, or not always, but throughout most of American history, it's had the highest populated city, New York City. It is really, up until like recently, with Texas and California, New York was the American state. If you thought about America, you thought about New York, like 9 times out of 10. I don't really like the flag much because it matches. It gets lost in the sea of all the other blue flags. But I like the shape. They're one of the only other states except for Hawaii. Okay, Hawaii and New York are the only two states where the majority of the population lives on an island because you got Long Island. So overall, I like the state. I will put it up there with the other big four, or the other big three. Next up is North Carolina. Decent size, big population, big GDP. It's very similar to Georgia. A very similar state to Georgia, I will say. They got a coast. I lived in North Carolina before. Um, I lived on the coast, and I really enjoyed it there. I've been to Charlotte recently for a concert. I've driven through the very far parts of western North Carolina when I was going up north. Um, so overall, North Carolina is, I would say, it's a higher ranking state. They punch above their weight along with um, Georgia. I'll put them in A tier. I feel like Montana. I'm gonna put Montana in B tier. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry, Montana. Next up is North Dakota. Very just oh, sorry, I bumped my mic. Very blessed state. Really, all they have going for them is their natural beauty and like what Mount Rushmore. I don't even know if that's in North Dakota or South Dakota. Another thing is, why did they split? North Dakota. Why aren't you in South Dakota? Just Dakota. Why? Why? Anyways, overall, I think you're a D tier state. I'm sorry. It's just you're so bland. You punch under your weight. Really, your natural beauty is the only good thing you have. Your natural beauty is what's keeping you out of E and F tier. Next, we got Oregon. Very cool state. That's where Days Gone is set in, Oregon. It was a part of Oregon country, which, if you didn't know, Oregon country. This was Oregon country. It was a territory that was split. This was the full territory. This was Oregon country. It was split between. It was jointly occupied by the British Empire and the United States. So originally they jointly occupied it, and then they decided to split it in half, and that's where British Columbia comes from in Canada. And the American part they split into. Well, they gave parts of it to Wyoming and Montana. But for Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, that's where your states come from, if you did not know. They have a decent population. They have very good natural beauty. They have decent GDP. They're one of the larger states in the United States, so I will put them in A tier. I think that's okay. Next, we got Pennsylvania. This is another one of the big boy states with population and economy, GDP, whatever. They got Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, two very funny cities. You know, do not go to Philly. If any sports team, if there's a sports game going on Earth, do not go to Philly. Essentially, you know. But it has decent natural beauty. It has very good GDP, very good population, one of the larger ones. I think Pennsylvania has like 12 million people living in it or something around there. I think it's higher than Georgia, higher than North Carolina, higher than Ohio, but I'm not sure if it's Pennsylvania and Illinois have very similar populations. But it's another one of the 13 colonies. It was a Quaker state. It was founded by Quakers. No idea what that means. Just know that was the type of people that founded them. And I'm pretty sure it has the highest population of Amish people. I'm going to go ahead and put it in A tier. I feel like that's a valid spot for it to be in. Next is Rhode Island. Smallest state, one of the smallest populations. I will say one thing Rhode Island has is that Rhode Island has 1 million people, while Alaska, wherever you are, right here, Alaska has 700,000. That's kind of weird. Largest state, smallest state. Smallest state has larger population than largest state. But it's overall just, not much going for it. And considering its size, the fact that it has 1 million people isn't a very good thing for it. So sorry, Rhode Island. You know what? I'll spare you from F tier, but you're going in E tier. I wish there was a tier between them. I'm not gonna make one though, but I'm just gonna put you in F tier. I don't know. I'm sorry. So South Carolina, one of the smaller states, but it does punch its own weight. It has like it has below average size, but it also does have kind of like in middle in okay, it's like low mid to mid tier population in GDP. When it has low mid to mid tier size. Overall, it's not bad, but it's not good either. I will say I love their flag. Their flag is very unique. It has the blue color, but it doesn't have the state seal. It has a palmetto tree and then the moon for some reason. I love that though. So I really like their flag. They have good history. They are. I'm trying to remember. They were the major southern colony. Yeah, the major northern colonies like Massachusetts and New York. You had the mid colonies like Pennsylvania, Maryland, and then you had the major colonies of the South, which is Virginia and South Carolina. South Carolina. At one point, I believe Charleston was the largest city. Mm, it was like in the top three largest cities, which it's just so random, you know. It's cool. Um, One thing is that South Carolina was the first state to secede. Like, what are you doing, bro? Come on, man. But I would say it's overall in the middle state. Uh, I don't think they have the best like economy like for each individual person, but their flag saves them. Their natural beauty saves them. Um, they got a good vacation spot, Myrtle Beach. That kind of helps them. They got, it's just overall all right state, mid state. Next up is South Dakota. I'm putting you with North Dakota. South Dakota. I mean, you're in North Dakota, but you're south. You got a bit more people. Uh, if anything, you have worse natural beauty because you're more in the middle of the United States, along with Nebraska and Kansas. Just overall, just boring. You don't. I don't think you have Mount Rushmore. I'm pretty sure that's North Dakota. So you don't even have Mount Rushmore. Just, you know, the only thing saving you is that I put North Dakota in this tier, and you have a larger population, and I think larger size as well. Next is Tennessee. I like Tennessee. I've been there before. I haven't lived there, but I've stayed there multiple times. Very good natural beauty for an eastern state. Decent size. I believe it punches its own weight for GDP and population. The shape of it is very unique and weird. The flag of it, I just love the flag of Tennessee. It's cool. I'm gonna go ahead and put Tennessee in B tier because it's not in the top tier states like S and A, but it's better than mid tier and lower. So yeah, there you go with that. So Utah, I am gonna base it off of the current state of Utah with its flag. I love their flag. Their flag is awesome, but it has Mormons, which there's nothing wrong with Mormons. It's just they got too many wives. Kind of weird. So I'm gonna have to derank you for that. Go down one. But you have very great natural beauty, cool flag. Kind of like a middle of the road, low mid to mid population. You're one of the larger states, so I'm gonna have to put you in C tier. Or okay, I'll put you in B tier because your state is still growing, unlike New Mexico. You have a cool flag, but you're not as great as Colorado. There you go. Now Vermont. Vermont is a state that is declining, I believe, in population. But I'm always confused in this part. Was Vermont its own country? I believe it was. Yeah, the Republic. Yes, from 1777 to 1791, Vermont existed as its own independent and sovereign country known as the Vermont Republic. So 28 towns declared independence from the land claims of British Quebec, New Hampshire, and New York. So very random history. They do have a bland flag. I believe that they are one of the top producers for maple syrup in the United States. Um, Let's see if I'm right. Vermont, I was right. So they got that going for them. They got good natural beauty. Very sparsely populated, low population, low GDP, but then again, they're a small state. It's not expected of them. I will put them in C tier. Oh, well, um, honestly, this is kind of biased. I don't know why. I just like Vermont. Um, Not enough to be biased to where they're up here, but I feel like they should be down here. In a way, not down here, but like down here. But I'm gonna put them in here. Next is Virginia. Virginia is the oldest English colony. It was founded in 1607, and it has pretty good history, considering it's the oldest colony. Um, they got a decent population. Hold on, I gotta yawn, guys. Oh man. Okay, they have a decent population, decent size, middle of the road, decent economy. Really, just a middle of the road state. But they have good nature considering they're in the Appalachian Mountains. They got the Chesapeake coast. They got the inland parts. That's kind of boring, but hey, inland parts are just kind of boring usually. They got decent cities like Richmond, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Alexandria. They touch Washington D.C., so they're all that. I like the shape of Virginia. Virginia is a very weird shape. I like that, but they're also an older state, so I am gonna have to put them up here with some of the big boy states. Next is West Virginia. I'll put that next to Virginia for now. West Virginia, um, they are a declining state. They have been declining for the longest. They're known as the coal miner state, I think. They have one of the lower populations, but they've been declining since the 1950s, which is insane. And honestly, the fact that they're not the least populated state and the least economically well-off state is insane. Since they've been declining since the 1950s, which is 70 years ago now. So I will give them that. They're on the lower side of GDP, population, and size, but they punch their own weight still. Um, Another thing I like is the history of how West Virginia was founded. So during the Civil War, Virginia left the Union to join the South, and Virginia said, "No, I want to stay up north. So I'm splitting from you, Virginia." And they did that. They did that. They did that. So yeah, I gotta give them props to that. So I'm not gonna put them. Okay. I'm not gonna put them in ENF, even though I feel like realistically they would be there. I'm gonna put them in D, above the Dakotas. South and North Dakota. I would rank you higher if you guys united into just Dakota. I'd like that. Next up is Wyoming. Put them up here since that one wraps around now. I don't like that. Wyoming, it's one of the bigger states, the smallest population, which is 500,000. 500,000 people live in this pretty big state. I like the flag. The flag would be 100 times better if the state seal wasn't inside the buffalo, but they still have a cool flag either way, so I will give them that. They have very good natural beauty. They have Yellowstone. I like the shape, just a square. It's boring, but it's neat, It's not random. It's not too complicated. It's just a square or a rectangle. So I will give them that. So I'm gonna put Wyoming in B tier. Very low population, very small GDP, pretty decent size. In the top 25, actually probably in the top like 20, 15, 20 or 15 even. Maybe even in the top like 14 or 13. I don't know. But because of their flag, because of their flag, because of their natural beauty, and just I like Wyoming. I want to go there one day. I'm gonna put them in B. Now Alaska. Alaska's the largest state. Alaska, I think, like, no doubt has non-debatable, has the best geography and has the best natural beauty. Another thing that is unique to Alaska is it's not an English colony, it's not a Spanish colony, it's not a French colony, it's a Russian colony, which is very unique for American states. It was also a state that was purchased. It wasn't conquered. It wasn't originally just given to the United States. It was purchased. So that's along with the Louisiana Territory states. The only two territories to come from purchasing. Well, actually no, three, because the Gadsden purchase from Mexico. So I will rate Alaska. I'm gonna rate it B tier, only because of its beauty. I want to go to Alaska one day. I will say. Next up is Arizona. They're one of the big boy states. They're pretty high up in size, and I will say they punch their own weight because they got a decent population. They got an awesome flag. They got very nice natural beauty. I just love their flag. It's such an awesome flag. They have a pretty good GDP. I think they got like a GDP. I don't know, around like 500 billion. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. But they just punch their own weight. You know, they don't punch their own weight in the same way as Georgia and North Carolina does. But they definitely are a lot better off than New Mexico or Utah, or I would say they're about the same as Colorado. Overall, pretty decent state. I'm gonna put them up in front of. I'll put them in front of Alaska. By the way, the ranking going in the same tier isn't in order. I'm just showing states that are better. Like, okay, so basically, I'm saying that Arizona is better than I don't know. You know, just forget about that. Next up is Illinois. Another state that punches, I would say, over their own weight. Average size, but they have a high population. They're like in, let's see, like they're either 5th or 6th place for population. Decent size. They contribute over $1 trillion GDP annually, I believe. They have Chicago, they have Rockford, they have Peoria, they got Springfield. I don't really know what else. They touch the Mississippi River, part of the Northwestern Territories. I'll put them in A tier. They're not as good as the Big Four. Not as bad as everyone else down here. These two, okay, these are good. These are still good tiers to be in. It's really these tiers that you don't want to be in. And the states that I have respect for in these tiers are probably New Mexico, Arkansas, West Virginia, I guess North Dakota, and Mississippi. Really, that's it. I like those states. It's just I had to put them down here because I think that's where they should be. Next is Indiana. Very boring state. I've never been there, I will say, so I don't. It's not like I'm speaking the truth for Indiana, for ranking them, but they are on the lower sizes of states, lower population, lower GDP overall. I don't like. Okay, their shape is unique in the way as it's like a rectangle, then it juts out right here, kind of. So I think that's kind of cool. Their flag is I don't know what to say about their flag. It's not a seal. It's not the state seal, but it's the same blue as the other ones. But it's like they have a torch in there with a bunch of random stuff. I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna yawn again, guys. It's late. What time is it? 11:46. Oh my gosh. Anyways, we got Louisiana next. I like Louisiana. I'll put it in right here for now. This is where they're gonna go, or I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I like Louisiana. They were a French colony. They a largely spoken language there is um, Creole, like French Creole or something. Cajun. No, it's Cajun. I don't know. Very unique southern state. Unique history. Um, they got New Orleans. I like New Orleans. Never been, but I want to go one day. Um, I will say very. It's on the smaller sides of states. And lower population, lower GDP, so it's not really the best to live, I guess you would say. But I do like the history. I do like the flag because it has a bird in it. That's kind of cool. Um, I think they have good natural beauty. Um, and really, that's it. Maine is next. They're like mid to low mid to mid in size. They have small population, small GDP, but I mean it's very far north. So what can you expect? They have good natural beauty. I'm gonna put them in C tier. They are another state that broke away from another state. They broke away from Massachusetts. It's weird, but Massachusetts just for some reason used to have Maine. Next up is Michigan. Put them right here for now. Carry on, why not? Michigan is one of the larger states. I think it is the 10th largest state in population. The reason it's one of the larger states with the land size is because it has the Upper Peninsula, which I think it's weird that it has the Upper Peninsula. Honestly, I feel like the Upper Peninsula should belong to Wisconsin, or just make it its own state, one of the two, you know? One thing Michigan has going for it is it has decent natural beauty, good natural beauty, I will say. It has Detroit. You can't have nothing in Detroit, I will say. Especially not porches. But I will say Detroit used to be, if not the, okay, it used to be one of the most populated cities in the United States of America, which I think is pretty cool. So I will put them in B tier. Actually, I'll put them in A tier. I personally don't see anything wrong with Michigan. I like the name of it too, Michigan. Michigan. Next is Minnesota. Minnesota is a pretty decent state. I think it's on the larger side of the states. It has a decent population, decent GDP, good natural beauty. I've heard it's very cold up there, so I'm gonna go ahead and put them in B tier. Next up is New Hampshire, and New Hampshire is it's like very similar to Vermont. I mean, they're right next to each other, so that's something you'd figure. Really, I feel like I've always just imagined New Hampshire as reversed Vermont. They do have a coastline, so that's a bonus for them. They have a slightly larger population. And really those are the only differences. They produce less syrup. But I'm going to put them in D tier because I'm biased about Vermont, you know. Anyways, next up is Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma, well, they're the panhandle state. I like Oklahoma because of the shape. It's goofy, you know? It's weird, it's goofy. It looks like it belongs on Crazy Dave's head. But they do punch under the weight. They have a smaller population. They're one of the larger, middle of the road states in sizes. They have a lower GDP, lower education. Basically, just you don't want to avoid Oklahoma. They have decent natural beauty, better than Kansas or Nebraska, I believe. I think, but it's like there's a lot of other states you would preferably be able to live in. But hey, it's just my opinion. Then you got Washington. Very cool flag. I like the flag. Their name is Washington. They got George Washington in there. It's green. I think that's cool. The only state flag to be predominantly green, because you got like green in Florida and green in California. But this one is just green. It's just a green flag. They got a decent population, or actually, I feel like they punch about just at their weight or slightly, just barely above their weight. They got Seattle. They got a good population, good economy, and everything. Um, Very good natural beauty. I will say very, very good natural beauty. I'm gonna put them in the same tier as Oregon. I would say they're kind of similar states. Yeah, they border each other, so that's one thing. But I like Washington and Oregon. I like all the states in here. Yeah, I like all of them. I like all the states in here. I like all the states up here. I like all the states in here. All the states in here are okay. These three states. Okay, last state, Ohio. Oh man. Well, Ohio. It okay. I will say it punches above its weight. I believe that the population growth is stagnating. It's like switching between growth and decline. Their economy is doing pretty good. Their size is in the lower part of the 25 or the lower part of the 50. So they do punch over their weight, even though their population is starting to decline, stagnate. I don't think they have that well of natural beauty though. I couldn't really imagine Ohio having that good of natural beauty. But hey, it's whatever. It's whatever, you know. I have family from here. I have a family member from here. There's one. So that's cool. I'm gonna put it in B tier. I will say I love their flag. Their flag is it is one of the most unique flag shapes in the world. I mean, there's only a few other flags that don't have just the rectangular shape. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you got the Nepalese flag. You got the Ohio flag. Switzerland's flag. Eh, I mean, like sometimes they extend it out, and other times it's just the Red Cross. Um, and there's also Vatican City, which is just a square. It's like a little square instead of a rectangle. Um, yeah. So, yeah, I think they would either be A or B, but because of the Ohio meme, uh, that that docks a point in my book. But anyways, this is my state's tier list. Um, yeah, I this is just how I see the American states. Nothing against any of these states. Um, but yeah, this is my 50 states of the United States official flag maps tier list maker. Okay. Yeah, if you want to do this, you can find that tier maker. Just search up states. It's one of the first ones. And I hope you enjoyed this. If you would like to see more tier lists, let me know. I plan on doing a Minecraft mob tier list and maybe even a ranking of states, but just their flags, not the state overall. So, yeah, if you would like to see that, let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.